All right, okay. Fine. So I think today we are going to our final class. Uh, so we, I think, finished this, right? We went up to the service guarantees and finished this. So basically, what you need to understand is that there will be several questions that is coming from this as well as the last week that we discussed on implementation. Now, I'm sure that you have gone through your past papers, and we did a past paper session as well last week. Before we start the session, from the past papers, do you all have any kind of questions or clarifications that you need to make with me before we start the session formally? Or anything that you have not received? We have uploaded certain reading materials during the last week. Is there any gap that you need more reading material or kind of things like that? Any feedback on that? Right. So if you are clear with the reading materials and the questions, we can proceed. But during this 4 hours, the last day that we meet, if you have any questions or clarifications with regard to a particular answer, what if you want me to if you want to ask me, okay, what is the structure for this, what should we do for this type of a question, those things you can ask from me today. At the same time, just go through your reading material, and if you find that you have not received any reading material or you need further reading material on a particular area, you can tell me so that I can upload it before your exam, perhaps today evening or tomorrow. The presentation that we have been doing last week will be updated today, right? So that's what I need to tell you before the session, because after the 4 hours that you're going to spend today, we will not be able to meet again for discussions, right? Fine. So let me upload the presentation. I have uploaded the presentation. Can you see the presentation? The slide is change management.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Right. Okay. So we will proceed. So last week we have been talking about implementation of a CRM project or a program in your organization. So we came across several steps, and we said during the implementation process, it is important that we focus on change management, because when you implement a CRM program, it is not just a one project, but it is an organization-wide change, right? So when there is a change, it is very difficult for us to make sure that the people will adapt it without any resistance. So how you will reduce the resistance and make the implementation successful will depend on how well you manage the change, right? So in changing or in managing the change, or when you're trying to implement the CRM and make that change a success, we have said you can follow certain models. And out of it, we are going to discuss two models. The first model is Kotter's 8-step change model, right? So under Kotter's 8-step change model, he tells you how you can drive a change and establish it in your organization effectively. So first thing that he says is that you must show the people the requirement for the change and the urgency. Now urgency means now you must tell the people we need a change now, and if we don't change ourselves now, we will be in deep trouble, or we will get these type of issues. We will lose ourselves to the competitors. So likewise, you must show the people that there is an urgency, and as a result of that, all of you should work now. That is important. Work now, change now. So once that need is been established in the minds of the people, it is easy for you to drive it. Otherwise, they will wonder why this change now. Is it really worthwhile? This is a waste of money. Why should we cooperate? Now, for them to come to excitement and to find that they have to change themselves, otherwise they will lose themselves, you must show the urgency that they have to react. Now, this is not important. This is an urgency. The urgency is we must do it now. Otherwise, we are in trouble. So let us all do it. That urgency, right? So then, second thing, form a powerful coalition. Convince people that change is necessary and lead the change. Now, your task is not just to run with the change as an individual, but to go together towards the change. So you need to build teams. You need to get emotional commitment. You need to convince other people the requirement for the change and go with the rest of the workforce towards the change, rather than trying to go with a small number or by alone trying to change the processes. Now, especially when it comes to CRM, you cannot do it alone. You cannot do it with one unit. You cannot do it with one set of people. It is an organizational change. So the entire, you should have the leadership to take entire organization towards a different state, So you need to build teams. You need to convince people, communicate with people, and get their support and emotional commitments to go towards it. Let us all try to focus on our customer and change the approach to build relationships so that all of us can become successful. Then the next is you create a vision for the change. So you say, okay, once this change is done, this is how we are going to work. This is how the customers will be experiencing our services. These are the benefits we will get. Right? This is the advantage we get over our competitors. So you show them, you visualize and show them if the change happens, what is the state, what is the desired state that they will be in, and they should feel, okay, we should commit ourselves to go there, right? So share your vision and get commitment, right? So that everybody knows what they are supposed to do in order to achieve that vision, and they will become part of your vision rather than you have a vision and they don't have any commitment towards it, right? Communicate the vision, right? So when you have a vision and you share it, you must communicate it actively, powerfully, and you have to do it frequently. Right? So you must show that you believe in it. It must be very positive, and then it should be delivered with a lot of power and saying that, okay, this is possible, right? And then you can't do it once and forget about it, but you have to do it frequently, in frequent intervals, because changing the mindset of people is not possible with one communication. So when you do the speech and the presentation, they say, okay, super, this is fine, but over a period of time, they will forget. So it's very important that you communicate your vision actively, powerfully, and frequently. Right? Now, when I say powerfully, I'm not telling you to tell, oh, if you don't do it, we will sack you. If you don't do it, we will not give you promotions. No, that is not the way to communicate, but to communicate in a positive manner. Positive manner where you say, okay, if you do this, these are the benefits you get. If you do this, we will make sure that you get these rewards, right? So tell everything positively rather than emphasizing negativity, because negativity actually will create resistance toward change, right? Then the next factor is remove obstacles. So when there are resistance, you need to remove the obstacle. You need to remove the obstacles to change. So how do you do that? You encourage people who support towards change, and you also find people who are finding it difficult to adapt because they lack skills, maybe because they lack knowledge, or maybe because they are afraid of the change. So you need to support those people to support the change. So you need to encourage those who are already supporting the change and going with it, right? Okay, reward them, celebrate with them, and then encourage them. And at the same time, when you find people who are finding it difficult, it's important that you stop, understand them, find the root causes, and help them to adapt. So you can help them by sending them to training programs, doing mentoring, having a coach, right? Or else having discussions with them, right? Kind of things like that. Next is to create short-term wins. That is for the people to buy in the concept, right? So you say, you first create easy to achieve targets. So those are not very big ones. Those are not very complicated, difficult ones. So those are very simple things, right? Very simple things. So you make those short-term, easy to achieve targets and celebrate achievements. Now I came across with one person from a different, from one of the banks, and he used to say that his branch is located in a place where there is a lot of smell because they are located close to the market, right? They are close to the market where they sell dry fish and fish, and as a result of that, the branch is stinky, right? So branch is not very pleasant place for the customers. So what he did is he ensured the branch looks very clean, and he wanted to make sure the branch smells fine, right? So he ensured, he did certain changes, introduced certain fragrances, different products, and when customers enter to the branch, they found the branch is very fresh and it's a very soothing place. So what happened, what he said is, apparently after doing this, most of the customers started visiting his branch instead of going to other places where they found it is not very pleasant to go, right? So he was telling that by changing a little thing, like changing the fragrance, right, and the branch smells fine, so he using the different types of fragrance and then air tightening his branch, he was able to capture customers. So this is something that none of us will think as a big deal, right? But then a small change, but he got a lot of customers coming in and hanging in the branch because they found it's a very pleasant and a nice place to be in among the other branches in that particular market, which was smelling very bad due to not having required changes being done to change its environment from the market, which influenced the environment, right? So very simple things, but then sometimes it may make a big difference. But why he did it is because he had a sense of customer service, right? So he was focused on customer, and he found that the customers find it very unpleasant. So then he changed it, right? So that the things changed. So simple things, right? So you can have these simple kind of things where you find a result, where you find people talk good. People will say, this branch is very nice. Make හොඳයි මේ හොඳට සුවඳට තියෙනවානේ. අනිත් තැන් වලට ගියාම ඉන්න බෑ, right? Very difficult. මේ හරිම smell එකක් එනවා. Then they will say, okay, මෙතනට ආවම පොඩ්ඩක් අර හුස්ම ගන්න පුළුවන්. හරි සුවදායි. So they will talk like that. So then the branch staff is also happy, right? Staff is also happy. Customers are also happy. So when they come into the branch, they are all in happy mood, right? So then the business happens. Business happens, right? So this is how it goes. So then you create some small targets, very small targets, and then celebrate achievements. Celebrate achievements. You celebrate customer commendations. You celebrate happy customers. You celebrate achievement of these little targets, right? So similarly, when you have this CRM program running, you can create short-term, easy-to-achieve targets and celebrate achievements so that you publish to the organization, we did this and this is the result and this is the reward, this is the achievement. So you You can show that you are having some refreshments and enjoying kind of things like that. Then you will also have supporters to the change, right? Who are positive people who believe in the change, and you can move with these supporters, right? Move with these supporters, addressing the easy to achieve targets and less expensive targets. So the supporters will achieve these easy to achieve targets, and you publish it, you celebrate it, and the people who are resisting will eventually find that they also join. They also should join the process. And then the next one is build on the chain, evaluate success, and do continuous improvements. So you need to evaluate the success based on what you have done, and then go towards continuous improvement. So I will be basically uploading an article to you today on building long-term relationship with customers and suppliers, which I have extracted from a textbook, which will help you to understand the value of continuous improvements. The next one is anchor changes in corporate culture. Now, you need to make sure that change is established and adopted as part of the corporate culture. Now, this is critical when it comes to CRM, because CRM is a cultural change. I told you it's a philosophy, right? So in a culture, you have values, what you think good and bad. You have beliefs, what you think right and wrong, right? So you think good and bad, what is right and wrong, we all are part of the culture. So when the CRM comes in, what you think right may change, what you think wrong may change, what you think good may change, what you think bad may change. So that will influence the behavior, right? So once the group values, beliefs change, the group behavior will also change, right? So it's all about instilling the CRM values, beliefs into the culture of the organization, which eventually will shape the behavior or the actions of the employees, right? So you have to anchor the change, establish the change by making sure that it is instilled into the corporate culture. Now, those are the 8 steps Kotter has mentioned, which you can apply in driving the change when implementing CRM. Now, this same thing on a different note, Kurt Lewin had it in a 3-step model, right? The change management. So he said, first unfreeze, right? So you have to create the right environment for change. Now the people used to do certain things, but now tell them that doing the same thing will not work. We have to go for a change. So you show them why the change is required and prepare them to accept the change. Then next thing is support change to the desired stage. Now you implement the changes and you get support of the people. You encourage them to go towards it. So basically during this process to drive the change, you can find change leaders, change agents, right? Encourage people who support, right? And then have certain measures to divert people who are resisting, like from soft measures such as training to coaching, and then having discussions, consulting, right? Consultations, mentoring. So those things can be done to get them into the line, or else the hard measures such as removing certain rewards, benefits, which will push the person to stop resisting and then adapt to the change, right? And then it is very important during this process that you change the performance, key performance indicators, which are linked to rewards to support the change, right? So you might bring in certain customer measures, right? Number of complaints, retention ratio, right? And then the cross-selling ratios. So those things, and then customer satisfaction surveys. The results of those getting linked to the performance of people rather than the financial measures which is done in the tunnel view, like the profitability, ROI, this and that. You can bring in these other measures as well, which will get linked to the KPIs, and then decide the rewards to the people, so that they will eventually change their behavior patterns and their actions in order to get those rewards accordingly, right? And then the final step, he says, is to refreeze, right? Now this is like a big ice cube which is there. You unfreeze it to make it water, and then you put it into a different shape, and then you refreeze so that the ice cube will get that shape, right? So you refreeze the change. Now here what you do is you establish and anchor the change. So you make sure that it is part of the corporate culture, right? And the culture of the organization has changed with that, right? And ensure that it has been implemented and basically practiced, right? So you can think of these 3 steps instead of the 8 steps if you want. First, unfreeze, create the environment for change, right? Prepare the mindsets of people, share your vision, tell them why it is important, tell them the urgency, right? And then prepare them for the change, and then change, right? So implement the changes and get the support of the people, remove obstacles, right? And then encourage those who support, change the KPIs and rewards to support the change, right? So you implement it, you drive it, right? And then finally, you reinforce it. So you make sure that it is part of the corporate culture and it is practiced continuously organization-wide, and then continue to do improvements so that it will get established over time, right? So this is another model which you can think of, right? And when you are driving a change, because I have also done this change management, so when you are driving the change, you will find people getting into different stages of changes, different other change process, right? So it's your task as a project leader to manage those stages and get the people to adapt to the change. So CRM is closely enmeshed with successful changing of behavior, attitudes, and relationships in general. Hence, managing cultural change is a vital task for the success of CRM. So that's why I told you CRM is not just a process change, a project, one-time project, a unit-based project. No, nothing like that. It's a organization-wide change of behavior, attitudes, and relationships in general. So in very simple terms, we can say it's a cultural change, and vital that we understand that. Hence, CRM needs a far greater degree of involvement and leadership from senior executives to drive and enforce the changes and create the right environment. Now, if you understand that this is an organization-wide cultural change, and it's a business philosophy that the organization should adopt, it is of paramount importance that the senior executives, top leaders of the organization are convinced, and they will also drive and enforce the changes to create the environment. Because end of the day, it all depends on the top management. And one of the main reasons for why the CRM initiatives fail is lack of commitment by the top management. So they say, let's drive the change, but end of the day when the change is getting executed, they lack enthusiasm and they don't give support. Sometimes because they want to be in the comfort zone, right? Because they are okay with whatever that is happening and the people are generating results. But when you want to go for the next stage, perhaps you have to go through a change process, a time of hard time, right? But when that is going to happen, they are not, they have to lead. So lack of leadership, lack of vision, lack of long-term thinking can be the results, can be the reasons where leadership is not getting committed for CRM projects 100%. As a result of that, these projects will fail. One of the important things you need to understand is CRM projects will not give you benefits in the short term very quickly. Okay? So the management, some of the managers want short-term successes, immediate returns of the investment. Now, CRM is not a project of that nature. CRM is a long-term investment. Right? So you cannot expect results overnight or within a very short period. And look at ROI. Right? So it is a very qualitative and a quantitative measurements that you need to have to measure the success of CRM. So people who may be having the management point of view, sometimes managers thinking where they want short-term results, short-term achievements of targets, short-term rewards, promotions, they will lack the commitment for a long-term project like CRM. Because they might wonder, okay, why should we do this to support someone who's coming after 2 years or 3 years? If you are having that narrow tunnel view or the narrow thinking, then sometimes they may not commit on a project of CRM because it's something that you need to invest today, where your cost will go up, or you have an investment, you have to invest the funds, but results come later. But the leadership thinking is nothing to do with short-term wins. It is short-term profits plus the long-term sustainability. So the leadership thinking, the people with leadership thinking, where they think the survival or the sustainability of the organization over a longer period of time, whilst they are also concerned about the short-term results, they will invest on CRM projects, right, and will wait for the return. So therefore, remember, when you run a CRM project, you will not get results overnight, immediately. But those who invest on CRM will make sure that the organization will get that benefit for a longer period of time for the future, right? So it is important that the top management understand this and support CRM implementation wholeheartedly if this is to become a successful program. So that is something to remember. Now that was implementation, management of change, and then we go to the final phase, phase 5. Now that is evaluate performance. Now performance measurements can be stated as the process of qualifying the efficiency and effectiveness of projects implemented. Right? So when you implement a particular project or a program, it is important that you work on that and have some measurements to find out whether you have done the things effectively and efficiently. Effectively means that you have done it in such a way that you get the results. Efficiency is that you have done it in such a way that you have got the results at a lower cost, lower effort, and lower time. Right? So whether you have done that, so that is important. So if you don't evaluate, you will not know whether you are successful or not successful. So you have to evaluate both project outcomes and business outcomes. So what are the outcomes of the project? Right? How the project has supported to get certain insights and the support, and then as a result of the project, what are the business outcomes? Right? So you have to evaluate both. Now you have to understand it is challenging to measure CRM performance and link between CRM initiatives and companies' economic results, because this is a long-term initiative and the results will come in totally different ways. So you cannot say, okay, once I implement CRM, okay, this is the result, this is the return. So sometimes certain returns you cannot quantify those, and certain returns may not come today but at a later date, and sometimes you may not know when. It's just like that when you have find out a prospective customer, like a new professional who opens his account going into a company for the first time and getting a small salary and starting his career, right? When you build a relationship with that professional, how do you measure the amount of result or amount of return that they will give you? It is very difficult. Right? It will happen over a longer period of time. Right? So we have clients who have joined us like as small entrepreneurs, professionals who have just entered to their field. Today they have become big business people. Today they have become top professionals and has given so much of business to us. But if you would have asked to give the measurement or give the results at the beginning itself, how do you do it? It's very difficult, right? So therefore, you have to understand certain results can be measured, but certain results are very qualitative, and that brand loyalty, the association with you, and the relationship with you, sometimes it's very difficult to measure. Right? So many CRM benefits are qualitative nature. It is difficult to prove their influence on financial results. So you might ask, okay, the customer is loyal, happy customer. So what? What is the profit? What is the profit? You may not be able to tell now. But over a period of time, when you look backwards, you will understand how the happy customer has given you results. But if you ask me now, okay, you have made the customer happy, you have rewarded him for his loyalty. What is the result? Now, this is another argument when it comes to loyalty schemes. No? So when you have loyalty schemes, you tell them to earn points, right? And when you use their cards or when they do their purchasing, they earn points. Can you hear me and see the screen properly? Hello? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I got a message that your presentation is not properly going on. All of you can...
Presentation is not right now.
Sorry?
Presentation
Presentation is not visible, is it?
The size is smaller, sir. The screen size.
Now how is it?
Now it's okay, sir. Now it's okay.
And now it came back to normal.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Right. Right. If you come across any change, you let me know, right? Now you can see the slides properly, right? Hello. Hello.
Now it's okay, sir. Now it's okay.
All right. Okay. So you can see evaluate performance slide, right? Right. Okay.
Yes.
Right. So we can attempt to measure monetary benefits of CRM investment or success of CRM activities and processes, right? So it is very difficult, and remember that it is not like a project where you analyze cash flow, right? This is a very qualitative thing. So you can quantify certain things, but then the benefits of it is so big and diverse, you may not be able to capture it as it is and very specifically, because it is a concept which will help you to do so many other things. So therefore you have to look at the derived benefits in order to assess the effectiveness or the importance of CRM. Right? So we can attempt to measure monetary benefits of CRM investment or success of CRM activities and processes by using different tools. So we have to understand now, because there are quantitative and qualitative aspects, we have to use both financial and non-financial measures to get a comprehensive picture of the CRM outcomes. Now, when we are thinking of how to do it, we can think of balanced scorecard method developed by Kaplan and Norton in 1992, right? Which has four different perspectives, which is not only looking at the financial but also the non-financial sides when it comes to measuring performance. Now, developing on this concept, Kim and the others proposed CRM-specific balanced scorecard that will enable to capture both financial and non-financial benefits of a CRM project. So we will now look at that, because it's very difficult for me to tell you about how to measure, but this is one of the things that I have found as something effective, something that we all can think of when we are trying to measure CRM. So CRM-specific balanced scorecard attempts to measure results from financial, operative, qualitative objectives of CRM. So there are four perspectives under this. Those are customer value perspective, customer satisfaction perspective, customer interaction perspective, and customer knowledge perspective. So customer value perspective attempts to measure financial benefits gained from the customer. So what is the value that we have gained by implementing this from the customers? The next measure, customer satisfaction perspective, attempts to measure the level of satisfaction achieved by products and services. Third factor, customer interaction perspective, attempts to measure the operational process and multi-channel management. So you can think of a kind of a model of this nature. So you have the customer knowledge, right? So you have increased customer knowledge, which will help you to do campaigns and then sales management. Improved systems to support customers and employees, right? So which will give them suggestions, which will give them comprehensive idea about the customer. So it will help you to do service management. So based on customer knowledge, so you come to customer interactions. So when you do campaign management, it will increase campaign responses. So you do certain campaigns targeting clients based on the knowledge you have selected the right prospects. Right? So when you select the right prospects, the chances are high that they will respond to you, and then the chances are high they will get converted into customers. Right? So how you have used knowledge to do specific focused campaigns instead of doing campaigns without knowledge and trying in a blind way and trying to get results. Then based on the knowledge, you might do sales management, where you can offer customized offers and become flexible in handling customers, because you have knowledge about them and you can predict their behavior. And you can predict their needs and wants. So as a result of that, what you offer will be seen as a very customized offer. And you can have the flexibility to certain segments and the clients by changing certain features to suit them more. Then based on your knowledge that you have gathered from the systems, right, you can also support service management, where you reduce service process time. So when a customer comes, the time that the call center staff member takes, the time that the frontline counter staff member takes is reduced, because he has information and he has certain suggestions, predictions generated as a result of the CRM platform. And then you can also help customers to have self-service things like the chatbots, so then FAQs, and then kiosks, right? Which is supported with already the knowledge you already have about the customers. Now, due to the increased customized offers, increased campaign responses, there's a chance that you have increased customer acquisition. That means more sales, right? Then which will lead to increased number of customers, right? So the other part is that when you have reduced service processing time and effective sales management, you might have increased customer satisfaction, right? And then increased customer satisfaction will lead to increased customer retention, will again lead to increased number of customers. The customer base will increase, right? So when the satisfaction happens, eventually it will lead to increase in the customer base, which will contribute to the customer value, where you will get increased returns, and with the reduced CRM cost, you will have increased customer equity. So customer value can be measured by looking at the lifetime value of customers and then looking at increased customer equity. But this increase in the customer equity did not happen without any process. It happened as a result of so many things that has been done, like gathering customer knowledge, having customer interactions, creating customer satisfaction, which eventually led to customer value. So you can measure, taking these different perspectives about the results of CRM programs. So after implementing the CRM programs, you can measure profit per customer, customer retention ratio, strategic customer migration from unprofitable products to the more profitable products, or profitable products to more profitable products. And then customer lifetime value, and then attrition ratio, or the number of cancellations or the customers you have lost, attrition ratio, then the customer loyalty levels. So you can see, you can use these measurements and see whether they have increased or whether they have decreased. Then some other measurements, some examples of measurements for customer satisfaction is that you can do customer satisfaction surveys and find out the satisfaction level of the customer. Then if the customer is satisfied, obviously he will put his all money with you. He will convert his deposits, bring in his credit cards and debt requirements, all those into your bank. So you will get higher share of wallet. So you can see whether the share of wallet has increased when it comes to a customer. Then customer retention ratio. So satisfied customers will remain with you, right? So you can see whether the customer retention ratio has increased to measure the success. Then the other factor, the other measurement which will provide you an indication about the satisfaction level is number of complaints and commendations, which you can track and see the satisfaction level or the dissatisfaction of the customers. So these are measurements you can use to evaluate or measure customer satisfaction. So there are so many others. I'm just giving you some examples. Then customer interaction perspective, you can see after the CRM, what is the response rate, right? How fast people will respond, right? So when you have a lot of data and insights, and when you have suggestions, predictions, it should be easy for you to respond to the customer. So response rate, the conversion rate, how well the customers have been, the prospects have been converted into customers, right? How many prospects that you might interact with, and how many you will be able to convert to customers. You will be able to do that if your CRM program is so effective and has given you responses which has enabled you to find the right customer and the right product. Then you can also measure looking at SLAs, right? Service level agreements, right? So SLAs related to call center, SLAs related to branches, by looking how whether those have been achieved or those have been breached. So that is another way. And another thing you can do to see the effectiveness is to see the campaign NPV, the results of the campaign, the returns, and then see the effectiveness. Then when it comes to customer knowledge, it's very difficult to have a measurement. It's very difficult to have a measurement, but nevertheless, you can use certain things like availability of customer profiles and effectiveness of those profiles when used. How effective was the decision that you have taken based on the customer profile? So if your knowledge is so good and accurate, then sometimes your decision also will become accurate. Effectiveness of customer behavior analysis and predictive models measured through success of decisions based on such analysis. Then data accuracy level. So these are very vague measures, but still to measure the effectiveness or the results of customer knowledge, you can think of these type of measures, right? So you can have these different measures and then look at the impact of CRM organization wide by looking at the knowledge perspective, interaction perspective, satisfaction perspective, and value. So that is about the CRM based balance scorecard, which can be used as a tool to measure success of CRM. But at the same time, I must tell you, CRM success is more long term. It will be shown by the improvement in your customer equity and the brand value over a period of time. Right? So that's the long term result of it. Another approach to measure CRM is to focus on 3 areas, like having measures for customers, measures for stakeholders, and measures for excellence. So measures for customers will tell you to find out where you have failed to delight your customers, and at the same time where you have become successful in delighting the customer. Now you have to understand, when you have certain features, customers will not be delighted, but absence of those features will make them really disappointed. For example, having a washroom for the customers in the branch is not something that will make them really happy. But if you don't have it when they need it, then they will get so disappointed. Or having kind of a very comfortable sofa, or having some magazines and papers may not make them really happy, but absence of that will sometimes make them disappointed. So there are factors that you need to have to ensure they are satisfied. They are not disappointed. But those factors will not make them happy or delighted about the experience. So you have to understand what are the factors you have to make to make the customers feel comfortable. Now at the same time, what factors will actually make them delighted about your services. Right. So what are the different types of measures? Measures which you take should be defined from customer's perspective. For example, you can say measures of customer service such as courtesy or promptness in calling back. Right. Now very qualitative. Then staff knowledge in dealing with customers, how knowledgeable they are, how well they will answer questions first time right. Response time in dealing with customer complaints, how long it will take to respond to a complaint and resolve a complaint. So these are measures you can take from customer's perspective to see the results of CRM. Another type of thing that you can take under customers is to look at product penetration, product extension into family, referrals, cross-sell ratios. So those things also will tell you how the CRM has impacted on customers. Now, apart from customers, there are some other stakeholders also related to your organization, right? For example, your staff, regulator, financial ombudsman, general public, government, etc. Right? So they are also getting impacted from the CRM program that you will run. For example, when you have an effective CRM program, your staff will find it very comfortable to deal with your clients, and their happiness and the satisfaction level will go up when they work, right? And basically they will enjoy the work and the relationship they have, interactions they have with the customers than they used to be, right? So then the CRM will find certain benefits to the other stakeholders as well. Now, when you run a CRM program and when you become so customer centric, and when you try to do service recovery and then respond very quickly to customer issues, your regulator, maybe the financial ombudsman, will not get complaints, right? And the general public will have a positive attitude, right? So they find they have been treated well and they are getting a fair service. Government will have less problems. So see, when you run a CRM project, it will give benefits to other stakeholders as well. So you can have measures like staff turnover, then enhanced product knowledge, right? Before, what is the product knowledge and now, and then low level of complaints to regulator. Right? So these are some measures you can look at when you are trying to analyze the impact for stakeholders. Then you can have measures for excellence, which is telling you the impact on operations. So examples can be increase in customer profitability, greater product penetration, improvements in conversion ratio of leads to customers, increased staff retention, right? Reduction in errors. So these are some measures. So like I have mentioned, measuring CRM results is a very difficult thing for an organization. This is one of the reasons why organizations are reluctant to invest, because from the financial mindset, when you look at the accountant's mindset, they will tell you, okay, we will invest this much of millions for this CRM program. Tell us what is the result. Then the marketers will go and say, yeah, we can tell you certain things like the improved profitability through customer increase of number of customers, referrals, cross-sell, and this and that. But when they ask, okay, when will you expect this to happen? It is difficult to say. And at the same time, certain qualitative factors are difficult to quantify. So whatever that is not, that you can't quantify, they will find it difficult to understand from monetary perspective. So they say, okay, you're talking about customer equity, you're talking about this, how do you, satisfaction, loyalty, how do you show it? Now, you can't show it. The customer satisfaction, loyalty, and the results, number of clients he might bring in, the lifetime value, how much share of wallet he will bring in, those are all subjective. Right? So you can have predictions, you can have assumptions, but sometimes difficult to quantify how the loyalty will support organization, because loyalty will support in so many ways. So therefore, measuring CRM is a difficult task. right? But still, nevertheless, you can't say you cannot measure it. You still can measure. So you have to look at certain measurements which are both financial and non-financial in assessing the effectiveness. So we have learned one of the methods is to have CRM based balance scorecard, and to have certain measures where you will understand the impact of CRM. Right? Now, having understood about the ways that we will measure, it's important that you understand most of the CRM initiatives will not become successful in organization. And some research has shown that 50% of the initiatives or attempts will fail. And why these things are failing? What is the problem? Where are you going wrong when it comes to implementation of a CRM project? Now, when you analyze that, you can come up with certain points. First one is that you try to treat CRM as a tactical issue. You will say, okay, let's do CRM to increase our sales. That is a very wrong perspective. So you are looking at it in a very tactical way. Just to increase sales and achieve your year-end profit target, you are trying to implement CRM. It won't work. Right? So if you look at it as a very tactical issue for a short-term win, then it may not work. Next one is treat CRM as an IT issue. So you say IT is this issue is IT issue. So let IT handle it. We are not bothered. Now, moment the business thinks in that way, then the CRM will not become successful, because IT is only an enabler, and what to do has to be told by the business. So business has to say the business requirement and the business model for IT to work on a suitable technology model to support the CRM activities. So customization of the IT platforms, the solutions, has to come in with the inputs of business. Right? So the business and the IT has to go hand in hand if a CRM project to become a successful. Otherwise, you will have a system developed by IT, which the business finds it very difficult to use, and business will resist. End of the day, both of you will argue, but a CRM project will not go forward. Right? And then another factor is failing to prepare a proper budget at the beginning. So because you don't prepare a proper budget, sometimes you may not be able to do implement the CRM organization-wide effectively. Sometimes you may budget taking the software, but you may not budget on training people and implementing it. Right? So you have to have a proper budget to find out what are the tasks that are required for you to develop a proper system, to buy the system and install it, and then establish the change. Then the next one is ignoring customer needs. So you try to do it from company's perspective, ignoring the customers and the requirements, then it will not become successful. Another thing that your CRM programs may not become successful is that your ignorance on the competitor. So when you are having certain programs being adapted, your competitor may go steps forward, so that sometimes what you are doing may not be very effective and competitive with the competitors' reactions and actions. Then the other factor is not having a business impact assumption. It's very important that you have those. Also, not having an operational impact assessment. This we said while we discuss implementation that you need to do at the beginning. Then the next one is leave impact assessment to units. As I told you, this is not a task of one unit. This is not a task of sales unit or the marketing unit. It's a task of the entire organization. Right? So you have to look at the impact to towards entire organization, not only to a particular unit. Then leave implementation to individual units rather than looking at as a company-wide operation. Then failure to appreciate contributions by people when developing and implementing CRM, which will discourage them and they will not support. Failure to provide adequate training to people so that you have the systems but people doesn't know how to use it. You have the data information but people do not know how to use it, right? So then there is no point. Then not having a change management plan, like we discussed, you don't have a very structured approach. You just try to dump the system and force people to adapt it. So then it may get resisted and then it may not become successful, right? So these are the things. So I have seen past paper questions where they ask why CRM initiatives fail. So you can think of these points. And at the same time, another major problem is lack of top management support. Lack of top management support. So if you don't get proper support from the top management, this whole projects will change. So there was a question of this nature: why most of the CRM initiatives fail? So you can answer based on the knowledge you have gathered out of this. Then it is important that we discuss CRM and IT. Now IT, it is IT, right? IT can be viewed as a strategic enabler. So that means the strategy is something that you prepare as top managers. IT can't develop strategies, but IT can help you to implement strategies. It will enable you to implement your strategic thinking in a more effective and efficient way. So IT should be viewed as a strategic enabler. So CRM is a concept. CRM is not IT. CRM is a concept. And this concept needs IT support for it to be successful. Because CRM has a lot of requirements to gather data, to aggregate data, analyze data, and then provide insights for the business. Okay. So you can do it when you are having a small shop and a small number of business customers. But when the numbers increase and when the companies get larger, doing this manually is not going to become worthwhile. Okay. So therefore, support of IT was really required from the beginning of CRM, and that is why people look at it as a IT thing. It's not IT thing, but it's a concept enabled or supported by IT. So CRM technologies will support in one way to customer data aggregation and analysis, which is more relevant to back office, but it also supports to end users for data presentation and manipulation at front office. Right? So the IT will support in both ends, back office and front office. So for the success of the CRM, IT and business personnel should need to understand each other and work together closely to create the innovative technology, supported ideas that will result in a successful CRM program. And that is where you get the sustainable competitive advantage and enhanced shareholder value. Now, one of the reasons why the initiatives fail is that IT develops system in silo. They don't communicate with the business people. And then they come and install the system. The business people will say, okay, this is not what we want. We can do our things better than this. This won't give this side. It is not giving us this insight. So after that, they start criticizing. It's not going to work because what solution you need to be customized based on the insights of the business, and the business and the IT should work together. IT doesn't know what is business. Business doesn't know what is IT. Right? So when both of you come together, you will understand both business and IT capability. Otherwise, you cannot customize your CRM system to suit your organization, give you the best results. And so therefore, the business personnel and the IT personnel should work hand in hand, work together to ensure that they develop an IT platform which is user-friendly, which will provide the right requirements needed by the business. From the old age of IT, the new digitalization platforms and artificial intelligence are now revolutionizing the traditional approaches. Now, traditionally, the CRM was thinking about gathering data, past data, analyzing, giving results. But today, it has gone to a more effective manner where the digitalized platforms and the IT is capable of evaluating a customer real time. While the customer is with you, it evaluates the customer. And it can also give you suggestions, predictions based on its intelligence that it will gather by analyzing the customer and whatever the rules it already has captured in the past. Okay, whether this customer is a prospective customer, whether this customer will click subscribe, whether this customer is just loitering around or just trying to surf around and see what kind of products you should propose to this customer. Okay, now this whole analysis can be given while the customer is working with you. Now that is where when you go into certain websites, you get suggestions where you think, how did they give me this suggestion? There you are thinking. Right? For example, in a very simple form, you try to go and search a book, and suddenly you are getting suggestions related to it. For example, I will search, okay, what are the good CRM books? And when I am searching CRM books, I get suggestions about CRM for financial services. Now I am thinking, how can this person know that I want CRM for financial services? I am searching CRM in general. Perhaps this platform is so intelligent, it may have captured my profile from some social platform, right? And then linked it to my search, and then finds that I am from a financial sector, searching for CRM. And now here the AI says, artificial intelligence says, oh, this guy is from a financial sector. He's searching for a CRM book. Give him a suggestion, give him a book if you have related to CRM for financial services. So if the book is available in the store, now the pop-up comes to me, okay, there's a book for CRM for financial services, which is more relevant to me rather than a general CRM book. Now I'm wondering, how did this guy do it? How did this company did it for me? Now that is the power of new digitalized platforms and artificial intelligence. So it is going to revolutionize the traditional approaches we had on CRM. So CRM has come from the manual to IT, then now it's moving more towards digitalized platforms and AI. Now there is another set of people who say CRM is replaced by AI. No, it is not replaced. That is when you look at it from the IT perspective. CRM is a concept. CRM tells you about acquisition and retention of profitable clients. It tells you about relationships, satisfaction, loyalty. Right? So what AI is doing is supporting the concept. AI is not beyond CRM. It's nothing like that. It's supporting the CRM in a better way. Because CRM itself, I told you, is a proactive model. CRM wants to take initiatives for the customer before customer asks for it. Now that is something that we have learned in the past. So CRM is a proactive method, proactive approach. So in the proactive approach, to make the proactiveness more effective, AI can come in. Artificial intelligence can support. So AI is not beyond or totally a different concept, but it can be used as an enabler or to make it more effective in implementing the concept of CRM. So when you look at CRM processes are supported by IT to handle large amount of customer data and ensure efficiency in workflows. So when you are dealing with, now if you even look at your branch, how many accounts you have. If you look at your bank, how many accounts you have, how many credit cards you have. Now if you try to do it manually, it is not possible. So therefore you have to handle large amount of customer data, right? And then this large amount of data should be analyzed, find patterns, and then provide suggestions, provide insights. So to make it more efficient, IT will certainly help you in the process. Now, when you look at CRM systems, you can classify those into three types: operational CRM, analytical CRM systems, collaborative CRM systems. So before we go further on that, we also have to understand the CRM processes. CRM delivery processes are those processes with direct customer contacts. For example, you can think of processes such as campaign management, sales management, services management, and complaint management. Right. So when you look at CRM analysis and support processes, you can think of processes such as processes that consolidate and analyze the customer knowledge that has been collected in other CRM processes. So you have collected certain data, and the CRM analysis and support process is where you get those data analyzed, patterns are identified, behaviors are predicted, and insights are given to the business. So whatever that is happening, or the findings of the analysis process, can be routed or can be channeled to delivery process, where you can use those to interact with the customers. For example, you will analyze the customer database and the behavior patterns in the past, and based on that you will profile customers and identify or predict their needs and the products that they may prefer to buy, or they are more likely to buy. And then based on that, you will give insights to the delivery process to create campaigns which will become more effective when run. So the campaign is run, the campaign is conducted to that identified segment based on the insight that came from the CRM analysis. And as a result of that, when the campaign is run, the conversion rate or the results or the response rate is over 80%. But if you run it without the insights, then you might talk to lot of people, spending your IT resources, time, but then the results may be less than 20% or 25%, because the segment is not a target segment. Segment is not properly identified. Right? So the result or the return is less. But when you take insight from CRM analysis and support process to the delivery process will become more effective. Then these CRM processes are supported by information system in order to handle large amount of customer data, to analyze those large databases, and to ensure efficiency. So that is where what we talked previously comes into play. Now, operational CRM systems supposed to improve efficiency of CRM delivery and support processes. So these are the systems that will entail solutions for marketing, sales, and service automation. So they will talk about campaign management, they will talk about lead generation, right? They will talk about chatbots and service automation. Right? So the operational CRM. Then analytical CRM supposed to gather, store, and analyze data to get knowledge. So what is the knowledge? Knowledge about the customer. Who is this customer? What is his profile? Trends, patterns, behavior patterns, right? Then the tendencies, needs, wants. So analytical CRM systems are the systems which will provide you these insights. So for example, you can talk about data warehousing, data mining, data analytics, which are part and parcel of these type of systems. Then you have collaborative CRM systems, which will help you to manage and synchronize customer interaction points and communication channels. For example, customer interaction through telephone, web, and email. So that's about the CRM system. Now, I'm not going to tell you about CRM systems here because it is too technical for you. But I invite you to go and analyze different types of CRM systems that are being advertised by certain vendors. It is freely available in the web. They are advertising, or they try to sell their products by explaining. So try to go and find out how the different vendors have created different CRM platforms. Now there are two different types of platform, three different types actually. First one is a ready-to-buy platforms, where you will go and buy the platform looking at the features. So if you find that the platform developed by the company is good enough for your company and it will work for your company, you can buy that ready-made platform and implement in your organization. Or else there are platforms which are ready-made, yet you can customize. So there are certain areas where they have given the flexibility for you to customize, so that you can customize those areas and adapt it to your organization. And the final one is little expensive one, where you have to develop a customized platform, CRM platform for your organization, where you will work with a development team. That is where we talked about having IT developers and the business jointly, and then develop a tailor-made program CRM system for your company. So you can go to any of these approaches, right? So these ready-made ones and the ones where you can have flexibility, those solutions are advertised in the web. So all of you can go to the websites, YouTube, and then see these different types of softwares that these companies have, which will provide you a lot of insights as to how you can have a system for your organization. Right. Now before we go any further, we would like to take a break. Now it's 10:10, so we will start the session after 10:25. 15 minutes break, 10:25. When you are back, when you're coming back, you can also go through the papers, the last 2 years, or whatever, the last 2 papers that is given to you, and come up with any clarifications that you require on certain questions. We did one paper, I think last week, or not last week before, where we had the physical class. So we did one paper, and by looking at other papers, if you find certain questions are a little ambiguous for you, you may clarify it with me, right? So we will take a break and come back again to discuss the rest of the sessions. We'll start with a discussion on that as well, because that can be a very potential question for you, right? So try to just give some thought on that and jot down points, then we will discuss.
Yes,
Right,
sir.
okay. So CRM and IT is where we have been talking. So if you really look at the old approach of companies, they used to interact with customers when they come to them. Now that is what we have seen. Even for us, when we are at the bank, at the branch level, we interact with the customers only when they come to us, or when they call us, or when they contact us through an agent or through an email, when they have a need. So this was the old traditional approach. With the introduction of the IT and the development of IT, the modern approach is to ensure customers are approached even before they identify their needs or address the need immediately at the moment it arises. Now, this is the concept of CRM to become proactive, and it is now facilitated by IT. For example, I know certain credit card companies where they will monitor the behavior of the customer, and when their limit get exhausted, they contact the customer or they send a message to the customer stating that your limit is now exhausted up to 80%. Would you like to have a increase in the limit? Now that is a proactive approach which is supported by IT. Now previous approach is that you will wait until the customer exhausts the limit, customer's card get declined, and then the customer has to call the bank to enhance his limit. Now before the customer's card gets declined, in this proactive approach, the bank is contacting the customer and giving him the required enhancement. Now that again is a question to which customer you should give an enhancement, to which customer you should not. Now obviously it will become hilarious if you send this message to an overdue customer. Right? He's 3 months overdue or 2 months overdue, and you are sending him, do you need a limit increase? Now that is not going to work. Now at the same time, it is also funny if you send this message to a poor paymaster, right? A person who is not paying promptly. Now at the same time, a person who is engaged with very risky transactions. Right? So obviously, you will have to filter out of the customer base that you have some clients who are of low credit risk to your bank in order to generate this message. Now, how do you do that? Now, that is where the IT comes in. So the concept is same. Concept is build a relationship by becoming proactive. Right? By becoming proactive. Now, that is the concept of CRM. Now, it is facilitated by IT by having an analytical tool or having artificial intelligence where you analyze the behavior patterns, past behavior patterns of the customer, you look at the potential of the customer, and then suggest to the system to send a message to the customer before he gets into trouble that, hey, you are eligible for an increase, your credit limit is getting exhausted, here we are willing to help you, let us know if you need. So that the customer disappointment is prevented by facing a card decline situation and waiting for reaction, previously reactive method, where the customer has to call the bank, shout the bank, and get an increase. Right? So that is how you use the IT, right? So you use the IT and the artificial intelligence to become proactive. So today, the technology-based approach is not reactive approach that the organizations traditionally used to have, but more proactive approach where the IT enables the business to reach the customer before customer reaches you, or before the need arises, or the moment the need is arised, the business is with the customer. So you fulfill the need as and when it arises. Now, even you can look at from the other examples. Now, if you look at HP and Brother, they have certain systems where they have the clients which are working with them, and when their print cartridge get exhausted, or when the print cartridge ink level goes down, before the customer talks to you, you send a notice to the customer that your ink level has gone down to this level, and it might be you will only have a lifetime of 2 to 3 days. Shall we send you a new print cartridge? Now that is real time. It is happening in reality. So the moment they get that message, they will order the print cartridge in advance, so that the customer will not face a work stoppage as a result of print cartridge getting exhausted and waiting until the new cartridge comes. Now what is happening even in our bank is sometimes you find the print cartridge is over, printers are not working, so you call the supplier and say, it's very quickly, send me a print cartridge, it's urgent, you send me now. Now until the new print cartridge comes, your work is also disrupted. Now customer is not happy. Customer is finding it difficult. Now you might say customer should have been very proactive, customer should have, yeah, you can say customer should have, but then the company's responsibility is that you should understand customer is not logical, customer is not an expert, customer is not organized. You can't get the customer to work the way you want. Right? He's a different creature. You don't know about the customer. So don't try to blame the customer in that case. You see how I can become proactive. Now, in that case, you will ask the customer, you monitor the customer's number of copies and the ink level, and you send a cartridge before the ink is exhausted in the existing cartridge. So no work stoppage. The cartridge reaches to the customer at a time where he is in need, right? So in this proactive IT-based platforms, what is happening is the companies are changing their traditional approach to fulfill needs when it is notified, to fulfill needs as and when it arises before the customer contacts the company. Now, that is it happening even right now. Even right now, it is happening, right? So that proactive approach is what is required today to compete with others. To compete with others. Before the customer has to think of buying, the product is available. So that chances are less that he will go to a competitor. Chances are less that he will get dissatisfied. He will get delighted. So this proactive approach can be facilitated through IT, and that will enable you to develop deeper ties with customers and improve the satisfaction and loyalty. Now, having said that, I must tell you, when you try to do these proactive real-time need fulfillment through IT platforms, CRM platforms, it is important that you have ethical standards and you maintain ethics and stay trustworthy for customers to share their information and to provide consent to manage their data to support their lifestyles. Now, you must not, in your CRM approaches, try to manipulate data or gather data, store data, or use data of customers, especially sensitive data, and try to get sales or benefit out of those without the consent of the customer, or else in such a manner that you exploit the customer. If you try to do that, then customers will lose trust, and sub-customers will find it is very threatening, right? So they will say, hey, how do you use my data like that? How can you influence my behavior in that way? So therefore, it's very important that you get the consent of the customer at the beginning when they get enrolled with your organization, and at the same time have exclusion clauses or clauses where you allow the customer to disconnect with you. So things like that need to be done. So it has to be, a customer should not feel that you are exploiting him and unethically trying to shape his behavior and gain an advantage. So that is something for you to manage when you are going for this proactive approach based on CRM IT platforms, right? And then also to make sure that you stay trustworthy to the customer, so that the customer will be not afraid to share his data with you, the sensitive data and very personal data, which you in turn can use to develop deeper ties. Now, another development in the IT arena, which is important to CRM, can be looked at as the development of social media, where the customers can create communities and interact with each other real time. Right? So social CRM is another word which tells you about the integration of social media channels into CRM platforms. Now, social media, when it comes and get plugged in with CRM, is actually helping CRM's attribute of becoming proactive. Social CRM is using social media services, techniques, and technology to enable organizations to engage with their customers. Now, you have to understand that social media is a platform that provides engagement, interaction with customers through social networking sites such as Twitter and FB. And as you know, today, this social CRM or the social media has become an increasingly important arena for companies to manage in managing the relationship with their customers. Especially the things that we spoke about CRM, the referrals, the word of mouth concept, right? The satisfaction and the advocacy, customer advocacy. These are all powered and basically given a lot of power with the social media platforms. Right? So now those days, to give word of mouth, customers need to meet each other and talk about your product. But today, the customer can talk about your product on a social media platform, which will actually spread that to a large number of thousands of millions of customers, in that case, based on customers' profile and the network, in a split second. So the moment that you get notified and you try to sort the matter, it may have already gone viral. And same with the positive side. Now, we have seen a lot of positive comments also about companies. We have also seen a lot of negative comments about the company. Now, once a message is being put into the social media, it's very difficult for even to the customer to control it. Okay? So therefore, social media actually is a double-edged sword, which you need to handle very carefully. You can't say that my company, we will not be in social media. It is not an area for us to be, and stay out of it also. Because if you stay out of it, how can you manage it? Now, you can't tell your customer, don't talk about us in the social media. The customers will not listen to your threats, right? You can threaten your employees saying that don't tell anything in social media. That is possible. But you can't threaten the customers or prevent customers using social media. So it is important that companies understand in today's world that they need to be in social media if they want to manage their brand and manage relationships with the customers. And when you are in social media, you will have better control over managing the relationships and at the same time impact on your brand rather than you staying out of it. So now for the companies, social media has become a platform, a communication platform where they had to be. For them to manage their brands. So if you manage it properly, you will get more businesses. If you don't manage it properly and if you create more customer terrorists, you will be in great trouble, right? So now the value of CRM, the value of loyalty, value of the customer advocacy that we have been talking about has gone up by several times with the introduction of social CRM. So social CRM is a good example to tell companies about the value of CRM and the importance of CRM and the importance of the concepts that you learn under CRM, such as proactiveness, customer loyalty ladder, in order to be in the business and to enhance the business, right? So that is the value of CRM has become more important with the introduction of social CRM platforms. Now, if you really look at benefits of social CRM, you can look at it in different ways. One thing is the engagement. Now, when you are trying to handle CRM projects without, even before the social CRM, you have to do it by taking data from your customer interaction points, such as branch, such as call center, right, from emails, from your sales agents, and then gather those, analyze those, and takes a lot of time, right? But you will not be able to sometimes engage with the customer real time, and when you get engaged, it takes time, right? But here the social CRM has given you a platform to engage with your customers, right, and your prospects real time, very effectively, right, through a social media platform. So we say companies gain the ability to engage with customers and prospects, right? Not only customers, but also prospects who are potential clients on social media directly and influence behavior real time. Right? So when they are in the social media, you can engage with them. You can develop a dialogue with them, or you can push a message relevant to them, right? And you may get a response from them through a small survey, right? So these are possible. Right? So you are engaging with your customer, and basically you get more chances to engage with them. Now, in the real time, you may have to physically meet them or call them or send visit them. But here you don't visit, you don't send them anything, you don't spend money. But you might engage with a client who may be in a different country at any time of the day through the social media platforms. So social media platform or the social media has created an advantage for companies to engage with their clients, irrespective of geographical boundaries, irrespective of timelines, and to shape the behaviors, and also to do it real time. So that is one of the key benefits of social CRM, right? Then the next one is that it helps you to improve the customer service. Companies can respond to customer complaints, compliments, and questions in real time through social media. Because now we know what is the very popular statement by customers. They say, okay, if you don't do it right, I will put it in the social media. So they threaten the companies using that. And sometimes when the customers get dissatisfied with your organization, they will take a public action. So we learned about those public action and private action. And so they will take an action, and sometimes they will publish their bad experience in the social media, which will go viral, right? So the customer dissatisfaction, satisfaction, and the sentiments of the customer can be gathered, can be identified, or can be captured from the social CRM, and you can act immediately. You can take service recovery actions immediately before it damages your brand. and also to win back the customer. So there are some customers who will complain in the social media. They say horrible service, right? There was a big delay, so they put a comment. They tweet or they put a comment in the FB, right? So okay, now you get to know, right? Okay, there's a customer who is dissatisfied, so you attend immediately. Or else they might put a requirement. Well, I would prefer if I would have got a service of this nature. So you might be able to provide it or reproduce it next time, right? So you can respond to customer immediately rather than waiting for some time. The moment you see the complaint, moment you see the compliment, you can thank them and appreciate them, right? And the moment you see that they have a question or they have a clarification, you can immediately answer. Because we have seen in social media, they have put clarification. Is it happening? What are the benefits? Why should I do this? Why should I buy this product? What if I do like this? Can someone help me? Questions they have, right? So real time, you can attend to those questions and answer them, right? And the people in the social media platforms will see how your company is interacting and providing service in the social media platform. And then when they see that you are responding very quickly to the customer complaints, compliments, and questions, the goodwill will be created and the people will talk about you, right? People will say, okay, there was a complaint, but the company attended to it immediately. There was a clarification which I have posted in my FB, which I have tweeted. I got a response immediately, right? And that will actually help you to create a better relationship with your clients. And important thing is respond. You will be able to respond real time, immediately. So your responsiveness is very high when you are in the social media. Then social selling. So you can gather information about customers. You can monitor behavior about your customers. And then your social media analysis can tell you, give you predictions that these customers are more eligible or more these are prospective clients for your this product, for your current account, for credit cards, for to open a savings account, to provide a housing loan, right? And even the modern systems can listen to the conversations the customers will have, the posts that we will put, and then provide you suggestions. Hey, look here, now this customer has searched in this particular area. He has searched on housing loans. He has subscribed for this particular page where he is searching for house construction plans. So that means he is more prospective to have a housing loan. Now, those are possible with the social CRM. So you track the behavior of the customer and give suggestions as to what kind of products you will be able to push to certain customers. So sales professionals can qualify leads based on social media data and behavior tracking. Okay? So that is possible. Then the next one is that you can gather a lot of customer insights. You will be able to understand customer sentiments by looking at what they talk about your company, how they react to certain posts by other people about your company, the likes and dislikes, their expression of emotions, and then the stories they talk about you, and then the satisfaction on services and commendations they give, the note of happiness, note of delight, note of satisfaction. And then on the same side, the other way, how they are, whether they are disappointed, how they talk about you, right? Service levels. And then suggestions for improvements. So they might give a lot of suggestions, sometimes maybe for your competitors, right? Which of course can be tracked by you and then take it as a suggestion for improvement, right? So they may not be talking to you, but they may be blaming to another competitor. But from that, you can learn how you can improve your service as well. So this is a social media is a area where you can gather customer insights, customer knowledge, right? And similarly, you can also identify change of behavior patterns and trends, right? So when you are plugging in your social, when you're plugging in your CRM system with social media and get into the social CRM arena, you will be able to get these benefits, key benefits. Similar to that, or on top of those, you can also use the insights that you get from that for your process improvements, productivity gains, to improve internal communication, to be proactive, improve research and development, gather competitive intelligence, to get more information about your competitor by looking at the comments shared by your clients on the competitor, and competitors reactions and competitors communication to the clients, right? And then build deep relationships with your clients by becoming proactive and addressing them real time, addressing them real time for their service requirements, for their complaints, right? And for their service demands. You will be able to address it then and there on real time basis when you're on social CRM platforms, right? So this is an area which is revolutionizing the traditional approach to CRM and taking it forward to make it more efficient in trying to serve or in trying to work as a model. Then the next thing that we talk on CRM is that AI powered CRM. AI here is artificial intelligence. So AI powered CRM will help business to learn from past data, trends, interactions, decisions, and historical patterns to support, right? So the AI is artificial intelligence. So the artificial intelligence is not something that is created by itself, but it is something that has been created by someone, right? So it is artificial. It is not generated. Now, our thinking, our ideas are generated from our brain. No one does it, right? So when you want to give an answer, now, for example, now we are to discuss an answer for a question. When you are looking at that question and trying to answer, the answer is generated from your brain. So it's natural. But artificial intelligence is not something generated by itself, but it is something created, right? So how you create this is that by feeding in information about the past data, trends, then the computer itself will identify interactions. For example, how many times the customer has visited the branch, right? Is he a person using internet banking, or is he a person who prefer to come to the branch, right? Is he a tech savvy person, or else is he a very manual person who wants to interact? And then what is the profitability of the customer? What is the frequency that he will put deposits, FDs, and what is his past data in terms of servicing loans, right? What is the average deposit he will put? What is his average income in terms of our understanding of his behavior? And then how loyal he is to the bank. Now, all these things are gathered by analyzing the interactions, trends, past data of the customer. Now, based on those, the decisions and based on those, the historical patterns are identified and decisions are made. Now, this is what you and I also do when we want to evaluate a customer. But here, that time that we spend to identify a prospect or identify a client and approach the client is removed from artificial intelligence. Why? Because the computer does it for us. So once you feed the information to the computer, and when you allow the computer to gather data about the customer from interaction points from your database, it will do its own analysis based on the parameters that we have already given and the program that we have done, and will give you suggestions. For example, if through AI, you can ask the question from the computer, is this a good plan for a credit card? So when you ask the question, computer will answer. Computer will say, yes, at 100% confidence. Yes, at 75% confidence. Yes, at 50% confidence. Then no. Now, how is he telling it? Looking at the past data, trends, interactions. Now, if you link it with some credit information bureau, like the CRIP, then it might give you a much better result also. Now, the CRIP is when the CRIP comes up with the scores, and if you have a real-time interaction through APIs with CRIP, now you don't have to do that traditional analysis. The computer will tell you, okay, I will say that this loan can be approved at 100% confidence. I can say that this loan can be approved at 50% confidence. You look at the other factors and decide, right? So what you supposed to do as a clerk is now is not required, because the computer itself will do it. It only needs the inputs such as data. And even that you don't need to put manually, it can be automated. Gathering data can be also automated. So that is the future where the routine analysis is not required. Then what matters is the expert analysis. So computer might tell you, okay, I can tell you this person can be given a credit card at 75% confidence. That tells you there's a 25% chance that this customer might go wrong. So you better analyze. So there you don't need basic analysis. You need to use your expertise to understand and analyze. Sometimes when you use such, when you do that analysis over a period of time, computer can learn even that pattern and refine its answer. Right? So that is the power of AI. Right? So the AI can be plugged into CRM to provide more customized solutions to the clients. So when a client comes to the branch, the systems will identify the client and provide solutions where the customer feels, okay, I'm getting a solution which I'm thinking that I should. The customer is coming to you thinking that I should ask this. When the customer comes to the counter, you are telling, hi sir, how about taking a credit card? The customer will say, I just came to apply for one. How do you know? Right? You can go up to that predictive levels with AI. Because it's not that you know about it, but you have found that he is eligible. He is a person who he's a person who's very prospective. So the moment you put the suggestions, the customer takes it, so that the salesperson's effectiveness will go up. Salesperson's time and effort to identify prospects, filter customers, those are all gone. Now the salesperson will get the lead, and when the customer comes, he will know, okay, these are the potential products I should sell. So it is already given to you. So that's the power of AI-based CRM. So it will predict customer behavior and influence it. So it will predict, okay, this is the behavior every 25th customer is getting salary, and within 10 days he will spend his salary. That is the pattern. So now when the salary comes, the AI system can suggest, okay, why not you have a savings build up, or why not you take kind of a different, open another account and have a savings build up. Can we give you a standing order to save some money? Right? Kind of things like that. Or else if he's a very good customer earning over 100,000, 200,000, suddenly he gets a pop-up moment he logs into bank portal, or when he's working, you are eligible for a credit card, please apply. Now, customer is wondering, how can the bank say I am eligible for a card? Or sometimes the bank may send with a limit. You are eligible for this much of a credit limit. Please apply for a card. Now, the customer is wondering, how can the bank give me a limit without me applying? Now, that is the power of AI-based CRM, where the CRM has analyzed customer data and has proactively given a limit and influenced the customer who has not been using a card to come and take a card, discover a need. Then this AI-based predictive CRM tools can provide sales leads. So the sales people will get leads which can be converted at a higher confidence level to a customer. Now, salespeople, when they get leads, it's important that they get proper leads. Otherwise, what will happen is they will speak to 10 customers, they spend their time and money, but they will convert only 2. Now, the productivity is less. But if you can provide very accurate leads, when they will talk to 10, they will be able to convert 8 customers, because the customers that you have given to them as leads are almost analyzed and identified as people who have a need, requirement for the product, right? So the chances are high that the leads will convert into customers. And at the same time, the AI-powered CRM will analyze customer behavior and provide you, support you to enhance service quality. Also to improve share of wallet. Now that is by getting the customer to bank with you and provide you more and more business, rather than one business to you and giving the rest to the competitors. And then AI-based CRM will help you to manage the customer life cycle from the time you acquire, from the stage of customer life cycle that you acquire him until the final stage of his life cycle, and also to manage the entire life cycle of the customer with your bank and your products more profitably. So this is the value of AI-powered CRM. Right? So now, if you ask me whether CRM is beyond AI, AI is something new than CRM, that is wrong. AI can power the CRM concept. And especially the most important attribute of CRM concept, that is proactiveness and the ability to influence the behavior of the customer. Now, with that only, you can go for the 2 key targets of CRM: acquisition and retention. Right? And then AI will also support CRM activities by helping them to predict and satisfy the customer and virtually delight the customer, because that you are going to now meet the requirement before he tells you, right? So you are very proactive. You are trying to help the customer the moment he thinks about, it's good if I have this, you are there, right? So you satisfy the needs real time, you satisfy the needs proactively, so that the satisfied customer will move to delighted level, and then the customer client will go up to an advocate and a partner. So AI makes the CRM work very efficiently, effectively, and in a very very interactive manner on a real-time basis. Right? So this is the future. So this is the future. So in future, the CRM activities will be powered by artificial intelligence, and those companies who will adapt the technology faster will survive. Rest of the people will find it very difficult, right? So with that note, we will complete our discussion on implementation of CRM and the future, right? Right. Let's go back to the question that I wanted you to write some points. Now, I would like you to tell me what points you have written. Discuss the importance of CRM to improve effectiveness and efficiency of sales. What do you think? Will it do? Will it improve effectiveness and efficiency? Anybody who has written an answer? Yes, someone is trying to talk.
Yes, it will increase the cross-selling, upselling, and customer repeat purchases, and it will reduce the uh, cost of sales and other things.
Right. What else? Now, when you are approaching this type of a question, it's better that you structure it in a more broader perspective rather than going into that. But let me tell you the process of sales. Let me tell you the process of sales. In the process of sales, first one is prospecting. Now, in prospecting, what you try to do is that you try to identify clients who has the need and the want for your products. Okay? And when you identify these clients, there's a higher chance that they will buy your products. So how well you identify this will determine the success of a salesperson. So if a salesperson can identify clients who are more eligible, who are having the need, then the moment they approach with the product and discuss with them, there's a higher chance that they will convert into customers. So prospecting is largely supported by CRM. Right? So we have discussed that very well. Right? So CRM will predict the behavior of the customers, will give you analytics, right, and will provide you data, insights about the customer, right, and will actually help you to identify. For example, when you are trying to sell credit cards out of your customer base in the branch, CRM will tell you who are the customers. CRM programs will tell you who are the customers who are eligible. So you have a better chance of talking to them and converting them into customers rather than trying to talk to the entire base and waste your time. So your entire base may have 10,000 customers, but if you try to call entire 10,000, it's a waste of time and money. But if you have proper CRM systems, you will be able to identify, let's say about 2,000 or 2,000 people who are eligible to give a clean credit facility. Right? So likewise, CRM will help you to do much effective, efficient work when it comes to prospecting. Then you go for something called pre-approach. Now, this is where before you meet the client, you try to understand, okay, what is this client, what are his requirements, what is the most effective way to sell the products, his likings, behaviors, so on and so forth, which will enable you to have a tailor-made presentation to the client. So you will learn about likings. For example, if the customer is a person who is more likely to get influenced by the prestige factor, when you go to him, you can talk about the prestige, service, and quality, so on and so forth. But if you have identified the customer as a person who's more concerned about price, then you have to talk about interest rate, higher pricing, higher benefits, financial returns. So likewise, you first understand the client on the pre-approach stage. Now, if you understand him properly, then the next stage is possible, right? Now that is approach. Now approach is not selling, right? You're not trying to tell about your product here, but you try to develop the relationship, right? So in approach, you go to the customer and say, okay, sir, I'm so and so from this particular bank, right? I would like to have a chat with you, or else say, hi, good morning, and talk about something out of the business, and develop a rapport with the customer, right? Now, these are possible when you have knowledge about the customer than when you don't have. So if you have knowledge about the customer, and if you know his likings, behavior patterns, his desires, you will be able to prepare yourself, prepare your presentation more accurately, more precisely. And then when you approach the customer, build a rapport with him immediately, because you are talking to him something that he likes, and you are maybe touching his sentiments by talking about his interest, hobbies, and the things he likes, right? And then you will immediately build a rapport with the customer. Now, only after these steps, that comes the presentation, right? Now comes the presentation and demonstration. Presentation and demonstration. Presentation and demonstration. Now here, you will present the features, benefits of your product, right? And when you are trying to present the features and benefits of your product, you can select the most effective few features or the benefits of your product to emphasize if you have knowledge about the customer. For example, if you have reached a customer who is concerned about money and trying to sell CFL bulbs, you can talk to him about saving money from the reduction in the electricity bill. But if you have approached a client who is more searching for prestige, if you try to talk to him about saving money, he will chase you away. He will say, I'm not a beggar, right? But for them, you can talk about saving energy and helping the country and social responsibility, right? So based on the customer type and your understanding about him, you can talk about the features, benefits, and term, or basically maneuver your presentation that will really have an impact and a kind of a positive feeling towards your product and the brand. So then with this, you come to another point where you have to handle objections. Now, none of the clients will give you go ahead without having an objection, right? So they will certainly talk to you about the negative sides or competitor offers, and will ask you why should they buy. Or they might have clarification. They'll ask, okay, why should we replace our factory with CFL bulbs? We are presently okay. How about the large investment, right? Now, then you have to say, okay, sir, you are going to replace all your bulbs. You have to invest this much of money, but here is the calculation on return, right? So you will recover the money within 6 months. You will recover this within 1 year, right? This is the return on investment. So likewise, when they ask you questions, clarifications, you have to handle those objections. So the objections might come in terms of value, right? Value comparison, right? Competitor is giving a better deal. Why should I come to you? They are giving me a better service. They are giving me a personalized service, right? So then why should I come to you? So you should have some answers for those, the value-based objections. Then price-based objections. Your price is too high, right? Why not you give me a discount? This is not right, right? Then the process-based objections. This is too long, right? I need it very fast. I can't wait, right? Can you give it to me within 2 days, right? So likewise, there are a lot of objections that customers may bring in to a salesperson when he is trying to sell the product and before the customer buys the product. So good salespeople have creativity and the ability to handle such questions in a very creative manner, right? But when they are trying to handle these objections, if they have good knowledge about the customer, it will become very easy for them to give answers, because then their answers will be more tailor-made to the customer rather than vague answers which may not hit to the nail and which may not actually convince the customer. So even at this point, the CRM, customer knowledge, right, will help the salesperson. The final one is not the final one before the final is the closing the sale. Closing the sale. So now this is a step where the sales agent need to get the customer to sign the deal or basically buy the product. So here you have to use certain techniques like, sir, now that you know the product, can I fill the form for you? Can I start filling the form? Can I know your date of birth? Or then you might say, sir, would you like to buy the red one or the blue one? Sir, when do you want this to be delivered? Can I place the order now? Can I pack the product for you? These are all statements that will drive the customer towards the final closing of the sale, right? So closing the sale is where you gain profit, right? So basically, after doing all these things, after doing prospecting, pre-approach, approach, presentation, demonstration, handling objections, this is the final most important step where the salesperson convert the prospect into a customer, right? Where he opens the account, where he gets the loan, where he signs the contract, right? And that is where the profit is generated. So in this stage, the prospect will convert to a customer. Prospect will convert to a customer. But in this process, we don't end the sale here. We go one step further, that is follow up. You can see it, right? Follow up. Follow up. So what it tells you is that you need, once you close the sale, you don't let the customer go away, but you need to follow up with the customer, get his feedback, right, and then improve the service levels and make sure that he is satisfied, right? And with the follow-up, you get a chance to do service recovery if required. Service recovery if required, right? Because you have sold the product and the customer is not happy. So if the customer is not happy and if you face a problem, when you are following up, you will be able to do a service recovery. And the other one is increase. Other one is basically to improve satisfaction. Because you follow up, and if he has clarifications, if he doesn't know how to use the product, you will be able to help him to sort out the issues and improve the satisfaction. And at the same time, customer will be happy when you call him. For example, you have granted a loan and the customer is constructing the house. What if you call him and ask, hi sir, how are you? Are you constructing your house? Do you need any other support from the bank? Now that actually will make the customer feel very satisfied about the service, right? Because now the branch manager is asking me whether I'm done and whether the next stage should be released, right? So he's following up with me and he will feel very satisfied with the service, right? And then other thing is that this will generate repeat business, and this will generate referrals for you. So you might ask, okay, sir, you have taken this facility, you have taken a credit card, I am sure you are happy about it. Can you suggest me another friend of you, referrals? Or else you can say, sir, that you have taken a credit card, why don't you take the payment application also from our bank, right? So likewise, follow-up stage plays a critical role in improving business leads, right? So whatever the data that you get from this particular point can go to your database, right? Which can then be used. Analyzed and used. So you can see CRM will play a vital role in all these areas. For prospecting, to identify clients, especially we talked about social CRM, AI platforms, right? And then we were talking about the customer loyalty ladder. That all talks about finding out good prospective customers. Then having the pre-approach and approach right by understanding about the clients, by analyzing existing relationship data. Then effective presentation and handling of objections using the customer knowledge about the customer and understanding customer requirements, needs, and the behavior patterns. Then closing the sale and follow up, right, where you will have a chance of giving more data to the database and also to acquire more clients, right? So this is getting a customer acquisition, and then follow up helps you to strengthen the relationship and acquire more clients through repeat business, to referrals, and also to ensure that you drive them towards the loyalty ladder, up in the loyalty ladder through satisfaction, service recovery, which will increase the loyalty level. Right? So you can answer in this way rather than saying that it will help to cross sell. Right? Are you clear about how you can approach this type of a question? Hello. So I hope you have taken down whatever the rough sketch I have done. So you'll be able to approach your answers in this way rather than giving general answers. Right. Now we have another few minutes. We have already come to the conclusion or the end of the whole session. If you all have any questions, we will be able to, I'll be able to answer now. Champika has also answered in the chat. CRM will help do the cross-selling and upselling. The company will not have to spend money for promotions. Good. After becoming customer, as advocate, they will help us to sell products easily and repeat purchases also. Very good. Right. So, but you can also use the model that I gave you, right? So what are the steps of selling process? Approach, pre-approach, then prospecting, pre-approach, approach, and then presentation and demonstration, close in the sale, and then objection handling, close in the sale, and then follow up. Right? So I'll tell you again, prospecting, that is understanding the prospective clients and identifying the prospective clients. Then second is pre-approach, doing the background evaluation and getting ready to approach the client. Third, approach, that is meeting the client and building a rapport. Fourth, presentation and demonstration, present the client about your product features and benefits. Then fifth, handle the objection. So whatever the customer concerns, clarifications, questions, and challenges need to be handled under objection handling stage. And then once the objections are handled, you drive the customer and close the sale, closing the sale, right? That is where the profit is generated, customer prospect is converted into a customer. And then finally, the follow-up, where you develop the relationship, where you get the opportunity to cross-sell, upsell, get referrals, enable clients to come for repeat purchases, and then ability to do service recovery, and then improve satisfaction and loyalty. All those things comes there. Right? And then whatever the information you have gathered in the process will go to the CRM database, which can be used again for the next approach, so the next sale. Right. Right. So any other questions from you with regard to the past examination papers? Can we have the email address? I shared it with you. Anyway, I share it again. Okay, right. Okay, I have shared it with you. So you will see it in the chat. So if you need any clarification, you can drop a mail to me. Right now, when it comes to exam, don't worry. All questions will come from whatever the areas you have taught in this course. So if you have followed the classes properly, if you have read the notes that I have shared with you already, you will not find surprises in exam paper, because the exam paper, whatever that is required for the exam paper and whatever the knowledge that you require under the subject has been already covered with the course that we have conducted. Right? So only thing, when you try to approach questions, don't try to write answers without giving regards to the theories that we have discussed. So we have already discussed certain models, theories, certain approaches, right? So though you need to relate your answers to those. For example, as I told you last week, if you have been asked how to improve service quality, you need to refer to the service quality attributes, the aspects that we discussed, serve call method. So by referring to those, you can give your answer. At the same time, I must tell you, in this question paper, you can write a very liberal answer. You have to write a very liberal answer, but you have to justify your answer. You cannot write an answer and expect us to give marks, expect the examiner to give you marks without justifying it. So you need to justify your answer, or else you can refer to established model. Now I have given you an established model for sales process, right? The 7-step sales process. But if you want to write your own process, you may still do that. But then again, you should be able to justify it beyond doubt. So if you can't do that, you might as well use the given models. Now we have given you serve call method, the gap analysis method. All those we have given. So if you refer to those, you are safe. Right? But if you want to find out your own methods, then you have to justify. But it's a very liberal exam. You can write your answers freely. As long as the answers are justified, you may get marks. But when you're writing answers, I would suggest you write the theory in point form and try to include an example from your experience or from an international example, which will elaborate what you are trying to say. Sometimes if you have gone wrong with the points, maybe due to the way that you are expressing or your language capabilities, when you try to write when you describe what you think through the example, the examiner may understand what you are trying to say and understand and give you marks for your approach. But if you don't write examples, then it might not, he may not be able to understand what you try to say if you have not written your points very clearly. So in writing an answer, you need to follow the process of ICC, that is give an introduction, because when you look at the last papers, a few papers on CRM, it is giving you more descriptive, it is enabling you to write more descriptive answers, right? So it is more, those are more open questions. So discuss about this, tell about how you will do. So those are very open-ended questions. You can write as you want. So have an introduction to the question, right? You say, okay, this is about this, and then present your points, content, right? And then support your content with supporting material. Those are examples, models, right? Statements, definitions, right? So you can support your answer, content, and then come to the conclusion. At the conclusion, tell us, okay, what is your conclusion, and how you justify your answer, how you justify your argument. So introduction, content, supporting material, and conclusion. If you follow this particular model, you will get marks, lot of marks, right? So I suggest you to follow that model, right? Give an introduction, give your content, give the theoretical background, support it with examples, and then have a conclusion where you justify your answer, justify your argument and your stand. Having said that, it is important that you manage time, right? Because sometimes during the exam, what will decide whether you will pass or not is not knowledge, but how you manage the time, right? So it's critical that you manage the time and answer all questions. I repeat, answer all questions, because if you don't answer, the examiner cannot give you at least 1 mark, right? So you need to answer all questions, right? And then you will be able to get marks for the answers, right? So at least you will get 1 mark if you have written at least 1 point, right? If you have not written anything, you will not get anything, right? So therefore, it is very important 2 things: manage your time, ensure that you answer to all questions, right? And don't get emotionally driven by certain questions that you like to answer, because the questions are very open-ended questions. You can even write a book on the question, but then you have to manage yourself to write only points that are relevant, and then conclude within a reasonable time, right? So I think you are getting 3 hours and you are given about 5 questions to answer, right? If the 5 questions are given for you to answer, and you are given 3 hours, then basically you should take only about half an hour per question, because you need to keep time for you to read the question paper, understand questions, and then think, right? So you have to have a thinking time also, right? And better to have a sketch or kind of a plan about how you are going to answer the question, and then go on. So with that, I am going to conclude the session. If you have any questions or clarifications, you may ask now. Otherwise, we can conclude the session. Taparan, any questions? Kavindra, Kalpana, right? Kalpana, Karyaperma, Champika, Asela is new, right? I think I didn't see you in the previous classes. Any questions?
My name went as Gan earlier previously.
Ah, that's the thing. I was wondering who this Asel is. Right. So, how about you? You're clear? You are done? Do you have any problem with the notes? I think last week we uploaded certain notes and presentations. So apart from that, any area that you have not got a note or you need more ready material? Okay, I think you are quite okay with whatever the reading material and stuff. So I would say that This is a postgraduate one. So in a postgraduate, you have to do quite amount of self-reading as well. So apart from the material we have shared, go in search of knowledge. Go in search of knowledge. Use internet. Use books related to this, right? And use research articles and try to gather more knowledge. And remember what I told you. You can write liberally. You can gather knowledge from the platforms such as ebooks, research articles, journals, blogs, internet, and from books, and then write your answers comprehensively. We have given you the framework, we have given you the theoretical background, theoretical knowledge. You can build on that and expand your knowledge on this area of CRM, and then bring in those knowledge to the exam. Now, exam is only a one part of your success. You have to pass the exam for sure. But then again, the knowledge that you have gathered out of this program and the insights that you have got to expand your knowledge is what matters most, right? So now you have got some idea about what it is CRM and how it can help you. And if you are a smart person, you will be able to convert this knowledge that you gained on CRM into practice and have a better career for you as well. Because these rules or the theories we have learned are not only theories, but they are pragmatic. They have been practically, those were being used by companies. Those have been used by my previous students, and they have shared me success stories after using the theories, how they have improved profits and how they have got career prospects. So I invite you to write the exam well and pass it, and at the same time to remember what we have learned throughout the course, expand the knowledge, and use this knowledge in practice in your branch, in your bank, in your department, or in your personal business in time to come, and then gain benefit out of the concept, out of the knowledge we got. With that note, I will conclude the course. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.